Today, another switcher joins the family. Now the Datavideo brand is supported by SKAARHOJ's legendary switcher panels, and today's focus is on the Datavideo SE-4000 working seamlessly with the SKAARHOJ Fly Pro. And with this integration, other SKAARHOJ control panels like LiveFly, Master Key 1, MiniFly, and even the Mega panel will also support Datavideo switches. And why is that? Once the software is developed, it works across all SKAARHOJ panels, unlocking powerful and flexible control. So SKAARHOJ panels can now be used with Datavideo for routing triggers, as a main switching surface, a sidecar, or even as a telecontrol system. The UI you see here on the screen is coming straight out of the Fly Pro. This is one of our most popular switching surfaces, and I love it so much. It's a fantastic piece of engineering. It's really cool, and it fits so well with the SE-4000. And you see it's connected to it because it's listed as a device on this right side column in the home screen of Reactor. So what is Reactor? That is the software that runs inside the Fly Pro and also in the other panels, and that will connect to cameras and to switches. So you see that is connected here. We have the IP address set up, but also 3 cameras are added, and they are also all connected. 2 of them are here, another camera is somewhere else in our facility. And I want to start by showing you how these cameras can be controlled from the Fly Pro. Not because the Fly Pro is an awesome PTZ controller. It is a convenience joystick that we have, this little joystick pad, but it's actually pretty effective. So if you press that button, you basically enable an overlay that gives you access to the camera selector for the cameras that we have. And if I press this, you can see I'm controlling this little camera here. If I press this one as a camera selector, I am operating the bigger PTZ 305. So with PTZ 145, I can now control the camera and just point it over to my little setup here on the other side, so that we have 2 sources we can use on the video switcher today. That will be helpful. So that's what I'm trying to do. Okay, actually at this point we could just bring those 2 sources up here, and I am still trying to make my way over here. So there we go. Okay, so I'm just, you see the joystick is actually able to do this like slow, but also, you know, faster. So the harder you press, basically the faster the camera is gonna move, and I can use that to frame this. Now, again, it's not a precision joystick, it is a convenience joystick, but it's great enough for being justified in being here. PTZ control built into your switching surface. Now, let's look at the other things that we can do on this one. And I want to get like close in here and show you all the nice and detailed features that we have done. So the basic operation is selecting sources on preview on the lower row and on program on the upper row. We'll just stick to these 2 sources we have today. We can make a cut between these 2. We can also make a fade using the T-bar between these 2. We have an auto transition button here. And if we press this one, we can change over to the wipe pattern, which is also available. So we get this funky wipe, or we can go back to a standard mixed transition. Up here we have keys. Currently, I don't have useful stuff on the keys, so if I turn them on like that one, it's just gonna block out because the source is just a black screen. I can also choose which keys is a part of my next transition. So if I select that, then it's now enabled, and if I select it again, then it's gonna be disabled because it's a part of the next transition. So that's like all standard operation for a switching surface. You can enable a preview transition so that you preview your transitions. And then finally you have transition rate, which is currently at 25. I can set it even lower if I want to have an even quicker auto transition. So now you see a really quick fade there. Okay, so there is a lot of stuff packed into this menu up here, and I want to go into that a little bit. So on the first selection here, it means that we have access to the transition selection and the transition rate. But on the next one, we are looking at the buses, and we have a bunch of buses. One of them would be the auxiliary, and on this button I am using the sides now to select which auxiliary output on the switcher I'm selecting the input for. So you see auxiliary 4 has input 3, auxiliary 3 has input 1, auxiliary 2 has an input I don't see. But if I hold down the shift key, I am now seeing an additional page And by the way, that also goes for the inputs down here. So if I wanted to select beyond input 12, we have still 1 and 2. Maybe we can just select them up here. Yes, okay, so we have sources. We also have this pattern, for instance, and stills. If we had anything in the still store, I would be able to select that. And you see for the auxiliary output, you can select program, multi-view 1 and multi-view 2 as well. Okay, so let me just pick this one again. So that's what I can do for all the auxiliaries. It doesn't stop there. We have SDI out 1 and 2, and for SDI out 1 and 2, I can also select which output I got. So on SDI 2, it seems that we have program out. All right, so on this one, HDMI 1, 2, and 3, I have those 3, which is also assigned to, in this case, multi-viewer. Program on number 2, and number 1 is multi-viewer also. Okay, and it continues like that. So for the upstream key of fill and key, I'm also able to select the sources here. If I'm selecting that, I do it for both the key and the fill. So depending on which one of these buttons I have pressed, I get to select the source down here for one of them. Okay, so right now, upstream keyer 2 has input number 1 as the fill source. I could select any of the others just to prove my point here. Just like if I wanted to, on the SDI out 2, I could have selected multi-view 1, for instance. All right. So, and finally, for downstream keyer, I can also select the downstream keyer source. Getting out of that menu happens by pressing Shift and back, and we are now out of the bus menu, or we are back into the main menu. I can still select the sources on, in this case, DSK2. That was what I left after leaving the menu, so I was selecting sources for DSK2, and that's still available on this row of buttons. Let's move on to the menu, the memory menu. And in this one, you have multiple memories from the Datavideo switcher. And by selecting those, you can store them and you can load them back up. So if we go to memory 2 and we load this, we'll see on the multi-viewer that it blanks out because that's the settings that is in there. If we go back to number 1, we come back to more or less what we had just a moment ago because that's what I stored prior to this recording. So those are available to you. You can also delete memories, and you can also use these buttons as a preset, store and recall, like you're used to with SKAARHOJ controllers. Let's move on into audio. So selecting that one, we can now adjust audio parameters for different inputs. So we see input 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. And for each one of these, we have audio gain. So I can set the gain here on this knob in a dB for the input, and I can also select the delay. Little pro tip: if you press the upper edge, you are disabling something called coarse mode, and you see it indicated by a little icon in the upper right corner of the display. And if it's in coarse mode, it means that it kind of it's actually 10 times larger steps. So now it's a 10th of milliseconds. If I disable coarse mode again, then it's just a single millisecond. That is a feature you often find on SKAARHOJ controllers. Same is true over here now. The steps 0.1 decimal, but if I disable coarse mode, I get down onto the second decimal for the dB. Yes, okay, and on the first one you can see such values has been set. It is useful to have an audio delay, obviously, because audio sources sometimes needs a little bit of delay. In the keyer and the downstream keyer controls, you have quite detailed controls of your keyers, which is super cool. So with this one, you can basically select your keyer by going forth and back here. And for these keyers, and you can go back into like a main menu here. So you have a keyer enable on off. You can select the input source of the keyer. And then you have also a split screen source. You have the type of keyer, luma, chroma, and linear. And you have an opacity you can set. So there's a lot of things in there you can adjust. You can set your masking for top, bottom, left, and right, and enable it on off. You have chroma key settings like the degrees and lift, gain, page, second page here for the luma and the saturation and the hue. So all of these settings would probably be known to you if you know the Datavideo SE-4000 switcher in detail. So that makes a lot of sense for those who know the switcher in deep detail. You can set linear key settings as well. The basic message is that all of these settings from the SE-4000 is available in this menu that has, as you can see, multiple pages and levels you can switch in and out of. If you want to set up your keyers, your upstream and your downstream keyers, you can do it in this way. So that was the upstream keyers, and for downstream keyers we have the same, that you can select which one of your downstream keyers and you can work with the settings for the keyer, the type of keyer, etc. from inside of this menu. Hit the like and subscribe button to stay ahead with the latest innovations from SKAARHOJ. Join also the conversation on Facebook, Instagram and X. And for deep insights, pro tips and the latest feature releases, I suggest you subscribe to our newsletter. The SKAARHOJ sales and support team is always ready to help you maximize your setup as well. And all the links you need for that is in the description below.